The story begins with Donald and Wendy Capel, a married couple who move into an old house with hopes of starting fresh. Their relationship had been shaky for some time, with Wendy wishing for warmth and stability, and Donald focusing on making things work in his own practical, detached way. The house seemed ordinary at first, a little aged but filled with strange energy. It didn't take long before Wendy felt the weight of unease pressing down on her, the silence of the house whispering with something far darker than she could explain. One night, while unpacking boxes in the basement, Wendy discovered a hidden book. Its cover was cracked and rough, etched with symbols she had never seen before. The pages inside were filled with rituals, incantations, and warnings written in uneven script, as if someone had scrawled it in desperation. The chilling phrase repeated throughout the book was, "To know fear is to invite it in." Wendy didn't understand, but the words imprinted themselves deep into her mind, as if the book itself wanted her to remember them. As the nights passed, the house began to reveal its true nature. Wendy started waking up at odd hours, her ears ringing with whispers she couldn't locate. She would walk through the hallways and catch glimpses of something moving in the shadows, something that wasn't human. Donald dismissed her fears as paranoia. But then, he too began to hear scratching on the walls and a slow, deliberate knock that seemed to echo from inside the very bones of the house. One evening, as they argued about leaving, Wendy's body suddenly stiffened, her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed on the floor. When she awoke, something in her voice and mannerisms had changed. Donald realized with horror that Wendy was no longer fully herself. The thing inside her spoke with broken words, revealing its hunger. The demon had entered through the book she had found. It wasn't just a guide, it was an invitation. Desperate to save his wife, Donald sought help from Wendy's niece, Jamie, who had studied occult practices. Jamie explained that once the entity knew someone's fear, it would twist and weaponize it against them. The only way to weaken the demon was to speak out the fears it provoked. Every person in the house had to say aloud what terrified them most, stripping the demon of its silent power. But speaking fears out loud was easier said than done. The house descended into chaos. Every corner seemed to hold horrors waiting to strike. Mirrors cracked on their own, showing distorted reflections of the family's deepest anxieties. Wendy, or what she had become, walked the halls whispering their fears back to them, turning their own thoughts against them. At night, Donald would dream of losing Wendy forever, watching her burn before his eyes, and each morning he would wake to the smell of smoke lingering in the house. Jamie tried to lead a ritual, using the cursed book as both a weapon and a guide, but the demon fought back mercilessly. It made Donald relive his greatest regret, failing to protect his brother years ago during a tragic accident. He shouted his fear aloud, tears streaming down his face, but the demon only laughed, feeding off the raw confession. Wendy's body convulsed violently as the entity tightened its grip. The climax came when Jamie realized the book had hidden instructions in its final pages. Name it, claim it, destroy it. To truly banish the demon, someone had to call out their deepest fear without holding back, then face it head-on, no matter the consequences. Wendy, trapped inside her own body, fought for control. Through gritted teeth, she managed to scream her greatest fear, being left alone, unloved, abandoned forever in the dark. Her cries split the air like thunder, shaking the walls of the house. The entity shrieked in fury, thrashing against her body as the others joined in. Donald confessed his terror of watching his loved one suffer because of his failures. Jamie admitted she feared she would never escape the curse of her family's dark past. Together, they spoke, their voices rising louder and louder, weakening the demon. The air grew hot, the walls bled with shadows, and the book itself burst into flames as the final words were spoken. The entity howled, tearing itself away from Wendy in a cloud of black smoke that burned the air with the stench of decay. It writhed and screamed before finally shattering into nothingness, leaving Wendy gasping on the floor, free at last. The house fell silent once again, the darkness receding. But the scar remained, not just on the walls, but in their hearts. Donald held Wendy close, trembling with relief, but the silence that followed was heavy, almost suffocating. They knew the truth. The book was gone, but the memory of the demon lingered. To know fear was not just the title of a book or a curse, It was a reminder that their deepest terrors could always be used against them if they ever dared to forget. As the story ends, the camera of their lives pulls back, showing the house standing quietly under the night sky, its windows glowing faintly, as if something inside still watched, still waited. The house that Donald and Wendy Capel had chosen was meant to be a fresh start, a place where the couple could leave behind the struggles of their past and build something solid together. From the outside, the old house had a rustic charm, its weathered bricks and creaking front porch giving it a kind of character that modern homes could never offer. But from the moment they stepped inside, Wendy sensed something was wrong. The air seemed heavier. The rooms carried a smell of mildew mixed with something metallic, like old blood. The floorboards groaned with every step, and the silence felt unnaturally loud, as though the house itself was listening. Donald laughed off her unease, brushing it aside as the nerves of moving into a new place. He was a man who lived by logic, convinced that what he couldn't see or touch couldn't hurt him. Wendy, however, was more sensitive, and her intuition screamed that the house wasn't empty. That feeling became undeniable when she discovered the old book in the basement. Hidden in a crack behind dusty shelves, the leather-bound book seemed to radiate malice. Its cover was scarred with strange etchings that looked like claw marks. Wendy should have left it alone, but curiosity and an odd pull made her open it. Inside, the ink was smeared, as if written in haste, and certain words seemed to shift on the page when she stared too long.